Hey, coffee experts. Those of you running independent coffee shops, you're always looking for ways that you can drop your costs. And we here at the Coffee Experts Club really understand that. And so we've started something called Indie Coffee Coalition. And what it's designed to do is to drop your costs on two of the things that you're probably experiencing the highest sales volume in your store. And that is energy drink and frat mix. Those two line items, we've created our own products and are offering you those products at a reduced cost so that you can cut out the Red Bull of America. You can cut out the main lines of energy drinks that you're doing and serve your own energy drink at a reduced cost on a line item that you're probably already making a lot of sales on anyway. The best way that you can grow sales is by dropping your costs and maintaining a current volume. So check us out at indiecoffee.co and we'll love to tell you more there.
Welcome to the Coffee Experts Club, where we discuss all of the insights, expertise, and drama that goes into making your passion your profession. Our hosts, Aaron, Ben, and Drew, are three coffee experts who have taken their coffee experience and turned it into true expertise. They have consulted with major coffee brands throughout the United States and beyond, providing operations expertise and growth strategy for drive-thru openings, multiple locations, and everything in between. So brew yourself a cup and hang out a bit with the Coffee Experts Club.
Woo! Coffee Experts Club. Just so rad. If you're wanting coffee, if you're looking to expand coffee, if you're looking to either start your first drive-thru or expand your drive-thru empire, this is the place to turn up for great free content. We give you great insights. We give you great first to touch items on things that I think could really change the energy of your business. So if you're here to learn about coffee, this is the spot to do it. Today, we're going to talk about something pretty cool. Ben and Drew, we're going to talk about expansion. So Ben, Drew, how are you guys doing this morning?
Great.
Excellent.
It's finally cooling down in the Tri-Cities. Finally.
Dude, it's raining. It's raining here. Drew, it's raining in Belize, right? Apparently it's raining all over.
Tis the season.
Oh, man. I wear leather boots, man. That's the one downside. I don't think you guys can see them. I'm going to get my leg.
Don't hurt yourself.
I just pulled my groin. Anyway, that's the downside, right? Because I want to go out and get 10,000 steps in every day. But man, when it's raining, you can't wear leather boots, and I got to change shoes. It's
Man,
a whole
what a life.
Might as well just not walk.
Man, listen, Drew, you ride your bike a lot further, man. The amount of sweat that you procure riding your bike on that island is a feat. Awesome. Expansion. So, Drew and I are down in Belize, and first drive-thru coffee in Belize, as Drew would like to say, the original drive-thru coffee in Belize. We always debate on how we're going to announce it, the first or original. But, for us, we're always thinking about expansion, right? We're talking about a new location we just opened in June, right? And we found, we may have to do another location in October, which is crazy, right? Like we just got through the stress. But I think it's important as you think through expansion, how you're expanding. Roasters Coffee, the crib of where the three of us were birthed within coffee in the Tri-Cities, 15 locations in a roastery. It started just as 1, 2, what in espresso world, right? Ben or something like that.
Yep.
Over existing locations and grew up in a 9-year span, 15 locations in a roastery. Opened up not just in their close little 3-city towns, but then started reaching out into Walla Walla, started reaching up into Spokane, started doing some different things that were pretty cool. They got acquired, and then there was a little Rochambeau over who was going to get the acquisition, and Wake Up Call Coffee ended up getting the 15 locations. And now they're going to open 2 more in the Tri-Cities. And so found out about, say, it was actually a locations, Ben, that we looked at back in the day for roasters that we actually said, blah, 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 don't do it. They chose to do it, right? And I think that it spawned the question of how should expansion work? If I'm in a season and I want to expand, should I open more in this town because it's convenient, because it's easy, because I have a customer base, because I have an employee base, or should I be looking for new territory that's in a town adjacent or in a proximity that I maybe could move somebody to? I know for us, we took our original location, hired on these 8 or 10 kids, and then moved some of the 2 top performers to the island, which was an hour and a half away to the coast, and then another hour on a boat. So 2.5 hours away from anything they had ever known. So there are things you need to consider as you start taking new domains. But I thought we could talk today about expansion.
I think, and the question really being should I continue to expand in my local area?
Right.
That's a good question. It's easier. For one, it is definitely easier. As you guys know, opening up shops countries away, It's not exactly as easy as, opening up a shop down the street where you can just
Yep.
walk down there every day. So it's easier to open up locally, but the downside is, are you saturated locally? Is there a market outside your local area that's untapped? I mean, we had a client in Montana, right, where there's like no coffee up there
Yep.
whatsoever, especially good drive-through coffee. And they opened up and they killed it just because
Yep.
it's like an untapped market. Belize, same thing, untapped market. You kill it because everybody's like, wow, what's this thing that I've never had before? Now I want it all the time. I think the biggest question you have to ask yourself, whether locally or outside your area, is first, am I saturated locally? And the easiest
Right.
way to determine that is, are there low hours in my day? If I have a shop here in Richland, and this happened with roasters, it was 24/7, 10 cars in line. Like,
Right.
you might have a couple hours of breathing room for the baristas, but you are slammed all the time. To me, that tells me you're not overly saturated. You could get away with another shop because you're not cannibalizing your own company. You're just basically a release valve at that point for those people to go somewhere else.
Yep.
But if you've got a coffee shop in your city, and you're not stacked all day, opening up another shop in that same locale, probably not a good idea. What you're going to do is just split those current customers between the two shops. And so both shops do not as well, but now you're stuck with two leases.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, so Drew and I were just talking about this recently. I think if you are going to expand in your own town, should the question be, should we be acquiring people rather than opening something new?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because probably the cost you're going to pay on an acquisition is probably going to be somewhere comparable to if you built your own and you get all the machines and you get their labor and you get their location and all the things that are such a freaking pain in the ass. I don't know when the last time tried to build those of you listening, tried to build a location, but like, I mean, it took us almost 2 years to get Human Being Reno up and going in their new location down there because of all the bureaucracy and then the contract pipelines and then developing the lot, and then once the lot's developed, get the builders out there. And then for them, they built a, modular, right? So then we're on the timeline of the modular builder and then he fell behind and then we got to come and set the thing. And then we planned on that site for like 3 years. It took us almost 2 years to build it. And so now it's up. Whereas if we had acquired, I mean, you're talking about a turnkey overnight, now obviously you need to think about like the return on investment and what the acquisition cost would be. But I think if you're thinking about starting in a town, should you be starting another one or should you just be acquiring somebody else's, which is exactly what Wake Up Call did with roasters, right? They're like, hey, we want down into that locale. We don't want to spend all the years it's going to take to put in all these new locations. We'll just acquire them and overnight have 15 new locations. Now, there's a big efficiency thing in that you want to be careful of. What scared me to death for them was you're smaller than us. Like you feel like you're brand than us. Are you going to be able to do this so far away? So I think there's some things you really have to work through, but I definitely think asking yourself, should I put up another drive-through in this town based upon current saturation is a real big thing.
Yep. I mean, and just about every town, at least in the western side of the United States, every town has that onesie twosie mom and pop shop that has been there probably for 5 to 6 years and they've never really grown and they're probably wanting a paycheck or a check to cash out and be like, hey, I put in my time. I'm done working bar. I just want to go, have fun. Those you'd be surprised at how many there are of those and how willing, if you even just open up that conversation, say, hey, have you ever thought about being acquired? They'd probably go, yeah, how much are you willing to give me?
Yeah. And I mean, as an operator, I mean, I love what I do. It does get tiring sometimes, but what I'd rather spend my time and money on is my current locations if they're
Right.
at capacity. Like Ben, as you mentioned, if you're not busy all the time, what is it that you could be doing to capture more traffic? If you know
Right.
your car count on the roads that you're on, if you're on an intersection with car count, what's the percentage of cars that I'm capturing? And if it's low and it could be higher, I'm sure it could be a lot of stands. I'd rather spend my money on that because I'd rather have one location doing double the sales than two locations doing half the sales, because ultimately 2 locations is 2 headaches, 2 staffs, 2 payrolls, 2 inventories. Unless it's going to be a big payoff to build another stand, or as you mentioned, like a release valve. What's the sweet spot of time, car times in your drive-through, customer interactions, and barista ability? At some point, a barista can only do so much.
Mm-hmm.
What's the sweet spot? And at what point do I want to build another one to relieve that traffic? I mean, personally, I would rather just spend all that money on marketing efforts.
Hey, experts, we've got something really awesome that we do here at Coffee Experts Club, and that's called the My First Drive-Thru Coffee Masterclass. So if you're opening your next coffee shop, I think a lot of times you may think to yourself, I know what goes into opening a coffee shop. I've been doing this for years, but maybe you've been doing it for somebody else. And maybe this is your first option of starting a coffee shop on your own. Or maybe you don't know anything about coffee and you're just like, I'm looking for a good investment opportunity. Starting a coffee shop seems like a good place to put it, and you're going to enter into it. But what you don't know is all the things that you don't know, right? And so what we've done with this masterclass is taken behind the scenes, how you find your first location, what you need to be thinking about in finding a location. We give you a gift in the masterclass where it's a step-by-step process of how you're opening your coffee shop, the different checkpoints you need from coming up with your plans and talking with the city and then negotiating a lease. And then how do you build a team and what are the different pieces you need to be thinking about? It's a great masterclass, door to door, start to finish, completely free on opening up your next coffee drive-thru. So check it out. It's at myfirstdrivethru.coffee, and it's a great masterclass. You won't regret it. We'll see you on the inside there.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true. I mean, every time you increase locations, you're increasing your costs, right? And it can be a gamble, especially if you're so focused on expansion that you're kind of hard pushing into locations that maybe aren't that great. We were talking with Wake Up Call. Some of the locations that they're looking at are locations that I said, hell no.
That's
when
right.
we were looking at them because the queue line for your drive-thru is horrendous. One of the locations they're talking about, it's on a incredibly busy stoplight, like on the light, on the corner of the light. And when that light turns red, ain't nobody getting in or out of your drive-thru. And that light turns red a lot.
That's
Right.
And and even environmental things, you have to look at, this location had environmental concerns. And so now you're on the hook for that. Like, don't be so consumed by expansion that you try to shoe in a D-level location and try to convince yourself it's an A-level location. And it's probably, to Drew's point, is going to cause you more headache. If you're saturated, it's just going to split your customer base. So you're getting more headache, more cost, more pain for less customers per location. It's just not, you have to be smart when it comes to expansion. And we talk about it a lot. Expansion is good. That's where you make the money, right? After location 2, 3, 4, 5. But if you're overly focused on that, you can then over leverage yourself and you're stuck with a lease, you're stuck with a loan, you're stuck a lot of money coming out of your pocket that you will have wished you had done.
Yeah, I do think Drew brings up a really good point, and for us, location number 3 down in Belize, it's been a little bit slower of a start, right? But every location does a little bit different, right? So, and Drew and I have taken it as a head nod and a sign of we need to start working more collaboratively with other ecosystems that we could tap into, tour agencies for us down in Belize, right? Like how could we get a tour agency to bring every tour by us, you know what I mean? And maybe we give them some sort of kickback for that, like begin working for the hotels. How could we get punch cards in these key hotels around us that would actually drive traffic at us? But we haven't had to do a lot of that because we've just opened up shops and kicked ass and taken names, which feels good. And then you want that all the time, but that's not how you grow as a business, right? As you grow as a business, expansion might mean not another location, but another application to how we're bringing traffic to us, right? Rather than just right now, a lot of our traffic comes through socials and through our messaging pushes, right? It's great. That's the way a lot of great coffee works. But there could be some really cool collaborative things that we do that's really powerful. I know Lindsay and the crew over at Outsider, Drew, I know they're an account of yours where they've got a really cool thing they do with community cups, where they get cups into people's hands and they promote deals to small ecosystems, schools, different places where they can promote something. And it actually turns out really good for them. I think Jarek over at Swig, I know, Ben, that's one of your clients, like came out of Roasters. Roasters did this really well. I think Jarek just took the helm and really robbed it out from underneath, like whoever purchased Roasters. And that was like community service. Like, how do we get behind like the no kill shelter up the street for the dogs? How do we get behind this mental outfit that's down the street that we're going to give money to, we're going to give things away. Let your people vote. What are the things you want to see us do a deal day on? And we'll give a percentage of every cup to this thing. And it weaves you into the texture to be a hometown hero. So I think sometimes expansion isn't even opening up another location. It's how can we entrench ourselves deeper into this and pull business into us? And there's no way around it. When you build a new building, You're distracted. Freaking that.
Yeah.
Thankfully, down in Belize, it's a short window, right? So it's really a 3-month build window for Drew and I. Once we make a decision, it takes us about 3 months to get a building up and serving coffee, right? But for that 3 months, Drew and I aren't looking at much else except for just making sure, man, our team is oiled enough to be able to work, right? Not even at efficiency highest, just work so that we can get this building up. And then the next few months after that, you're trying to prop it up to make sure it's working right? Because you're going to have the bugs you have to work out. So then you're going to lose for us, a 6 to 9 month window focusing on the next new location open. And could you be focusing that energy on collaborative efforts, community outreach, doing some cool stuff that could entrench you even deeper rather than opening a new location?
No, I think that is key when you're thinking about expansion. What is driving that desire to expand? What is it you want to expand? Are you trying to expand your revenue? Are you trying to expand your brand awareness in your community? Are you trying to expand just the bottom line? You really, really like managing employees. You just want to bring on more employees, give more people jobs. Like, you have to answer that first, because if it's just that I just want to expand, I just need to make more revenue. That's great. Maybe if you're looking at how active part-time, you got 3-minute part-time, you've got a big window to expand your revenue by getting more part-time down to a minute. You don't have to. And you'll get more cars you want, and you like opening up to taking, but you have to go through all the heartache of building. If your desire is just to expand your brand awareness within the community, then yeah, you don't have to open another location to do that. You can do exactly what you're saying: outreaches, giveaways, all that sort of stuff that cements you within the community. So I think determine what the why is behind the expansion, and that will kind of tell you, okay, is this the location? Is this a COGS rework? Is this community outreach? And that will determine the kind of expansion that you should be going after.
And if you've been in your area for a little while, you might be surprised by reaching out to the community and just seeing what kind of feedback you can get, whether or not it's through collaborations or new locations. If you put out where would you like to see us next?
Yeah.
You might be surprised by the type of feedback that you get, because the exposure, we don't really know all of the customers and all the areas that we're hitting. We know our customer flow. We don't necessarily know where they're all from. They could come from out of town. They could come from a neighboring city. They could come from, an area of your town that there's nothing in that you haven't thought about, and you get feedback that way. Or collaborative efforts, as you mentioned, other businesses. Like you said, we do a lot of tour agencies, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to partner with like a dental office, and they, promote some sort of teeth cleaning, because we all know as habitual coffee drinkers, that's not the best on our teeth. So collaborative efforts where you might not necessarily share a core customer base, but the customers of both places might be interested in, the collaborative effort between the businesses that they frequent.
I like it. And then, honestly, so maybe you say, Aaron, I hear you. I feel like we're killing it at all those things. I don't necessarily want to open up a new location here in this town. I want to think about something a little bit further. I would ask yourself, okay, are my systems tight enough for me to be thinking like that? I think that because the further out you get, you need to make sure you have the visibility that you need without you having to be there, unless you're going to move somebody that you really, really know and trust to that spot, right? And so I would say, I loved that. I thought the West did that really smart when he opened Walla Walla, right? Just far enough that it was outside of the realm, but close enough that we could get somebody there if we had to. And I know Cody didn't love driving and dropping stuff off there when he had to go make his bean deliveries, or, he had to get some supplies over there from HQ. But I think that it was far enough to be a new blue ocean, right? A new untapped base. There wasn't a lot of drive-through out there at the time, but close enough, like far enough away that it was something new, close enough that it was something doable. So maybe ask yourself, could I be thinking about a town adjacent or a region that maybe close by? Your people, there's probably somebody in your group that would love a change. They would love to just go, especially if it's just far enough that they still can come back and see their people when they want to see their people, and think about, can I expand something out there, but make sure your systems are tight enough, because if your systems aren't tight enough, you're going to open up a can of worms. I know Wes learned the hard way with the first Walla Walla when he bought it, or when he built on a piece of property that he couldn't drop water into. It didn't have a water line. Remember that? And he had to get like big barrels filled of water so that it could pump into the machine. What a nightmare. So ask yourself, like, what am I getting into? Don't make it something that's a heavy operational lift if it's something that's far away. Otherwise, it's going to take a bunch of your time.
Yeah. Build yourself an artery system. You don't have to open your next shop 300 miles away. First off, open your next shop 30 miles away. And then 40 miles away from that, you can stair step your way to incredibly different regions. But what you're doing is you're creating a supply chain, an artery. If all of your locations are within an hour of each other, you just stair step further and further away. Well, then you've got employees that you can trace all the way back down that line of who can move up to this shop, who can move to this shop, who can move up. And in that way, you don't go straight out, way out, and then realize, holy crap, I have to drive 3.5 hours to this location every week, and it sucks.
I also think it's important to do competitive research. Go to the competitors in the area if you are thinking of expanding to a new location, a new town, and try their coffee. Go into their stores, meet their baristas, see how they perform, see how they operate. Is it up to your standard? Could you do better? If you can't do better, could you do different? And if you can, what is that different? How's their coffee? Try the black coffee. Core of every drink is black coffee. I heard a lot of great things about some coffee shops. I was intimidated to see if I could open a shop there because of all the nice local feedback. I went and tried them myself, and I have quite a different opinion.
You should have seen the opinion, Ben. We drove around and tried some of our competitors. Drew turned into the biggest coffee prude you've ever seen in his entire life. The faces he made, the things he spit out. He turned into a drama queen over on a competitor's coffee. But it was awesome.
Amazing.
You wouldn't believe some of the equipment that I saw being used.
Oh, I love it.
Anyway, guys, great episode. I hope that helps you coffee experts. I'm thinking about expansion. Expansion doesn't always look one way. I think it's important to keep that in mind. We'll see you next week here on Coffee Experts Club. Ben, Drew, thank you so much, boys.
Thanks so much for joining us today. For those of you who are looking to become a coffee expert yourself, we offer an incredible, thorough training online for opening your first coffee drive-thru at www.myfirstdrivethru.coffee.